So I would say the core between traditional and modern approach will be the personalized thing, which AI has brought into picture. And this thing, what I mentioned, even though you see Striver teaching, even though you see the concept varying, but it's not that Striver is actually teaching. I think DSA to software development is like maths to anyone picking up science. I mean, if there is no one can mention that 100 years down the line you won't be taught addition because AI came up or anything came up, right? Maths will be taught because maths fundamentally, maybe not consciously but subconsciously builds your problem solving.
I've been using LeetCode for a while now, and whenever I hit that submit button, right, it's like super fast. It just runs probably 500,000 test cases at the back end and tells me if it's a correct answer, it's a wrong answer, or a time limit exceeded. So I'm assuming you guys also have a similar code judge.
We kind of have multiple servers spawning and each one catering to different languages and all the things. And some of the times if the test cases are huge, the cases are also distributed across the server so that a single person is not blocked on a single server.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing extremely well. So today we will be having a podcast where we will be deep diving into EdTech. And you would have heard about EdTech till now, and your perception about EdTech is, okay, videos, instructors teaching, but now we'll be talking about the enhancements that EdTech has brought in, and for that we have two people from the EdTech industry. One is Aman, he's a senior curriculum director from Masai School. Another is Nupul, he's the co-founder of Masai School. So first of all, welcome to the channel. I'm excited about this one because I've heard that you guys have integrated a lot of AI and a lot of tech into your ed tech. So the first question that I have is, so people are used to the traditional way of learning. Now when I speak about traditional, it means watching typical videos or attending a cohort and doing some projects, and yeah, that's the typical traditional way. Now when we say that a lot of modernization has been done to EdTech, specifically with AI coming in, specifically with so much of competition in your industry itself, how do you define traditional and modern to be different? Some pointers.
This is a very important question that I think in the after the coming of AI, it lies in the edtech domain, and this majorly lies with the personalization thing, right? And you would have heard this word being used, I would say abused as well in edtech, right? That personalized learning. But after the advent of AI, this has taken another level, right? What I mean by that is, let me give you an example how we used to teach at Masai and how it has differed. So earlier we had something called as mastery-based progression. Let's say 100 students start a cohort, they learn arrays, and let's say some of them mastered arrays and they moved forward. Rest of them, they didn't master forward, didn't master arrays. So there's no point teaching them dynamic programming in the next module, right? So what they would do is they would repeat that part, and once they have proven their mastery, that's when they'll move to the next part. But this would only allow you to certain scale. If you have 200 students, then it may work, and if you have 1,000 students, it won't work beyond a point. Because someone struggled in arrays, someone struggled in even iterating through the arrays. Someone just struggled in applying a difficult concept on array. So that's when the beauty of personalization comes into AI, which brings me to the modern approach. Now here what happens is, if you're struggling in a concept, and even at 1,000 scale, every student struggles at a different concept. So let's say you struggled at iterating through an array, you will go through a different path while learning, right? And similarly, a student who was able to iterate through array but not able to maybe apply, let's say, a complex technique or a sorting technique on array, that person would go through a different path in learning the same concept. And eventually everyone reaches at the same outcome, but everyone goes through a different path.
Give me an example, like how do you do it with tech?
Right, so one example that I can tell you, and let me take Striver's example. Like let's say you are teaching a concept and you just taught basic iterating through an array or indexing an array. Let's say someone understood it. How do we check it? We check it by a question. You understood it, you move to the next question. That let's see, how do we sort array? Well, let's say someone was not able to index array. He's iterating from 1th index, right? Then he or she, after the question is done, we'll see that, okay, you are struggling here. The same Striver Bhaiya will again teach you the same concept. And in that, what happens is, now you have mastered that concept, and then you also move to the same place. And let's say third one who didn't even understand why is array important, why not can't we declare 10 variables, and we'll again check it through a pit stop. And then that same person will learn a third concept in a third way, right? And eventually this person also reaches the similar outcome that, okay, I have learned arrays. So I would say the core between traditional and modern approach will be the personalized thing, which AI has brought into picture. And this thing, what I mentioned, even though you see Striver teaching, even though you see the concept varying, but it's not that Striver is actually teaching. It's AI which is doing it, with the same face, with the same voice. So that's the fundamental thing I see as the changing between these two.
So, Nupal, you co-founded Masai School. So, I've been saying it right from the start when the idea came in. So, how do you make sure that the curriculum is for keep your curriculum right?
So not every year. Actually, we change our curriculum every month. So that's because we are an outcome-driven institute. So we have strong feedback loop with the industry, because every time a student goes to an interview, we capture what is being asked, and we from that we know how is the industry evolving in terms of interviewing the candidates. Not only that, in terms of the tech stacks also. Like 4 years ago, most of the people used to use Bootstrap. Now everybody shifted to Tailwind. As soon as we see in industry, many of the people are shifting their libraries, their frameworks and all, we incorporate and bring back these aspects into the curriculum. And our curriculum is broken down into a modular structure. So what happens is each module, after every month we sit and check what needs to be removed, what needs to be added, and what needs to be completely scrapped, like some of the things. And also the frameworks also gets updated every 6 months, and if you're not very fast in updating those terms or those things, so it creates a lot of problem when these people are being interviewed. The same is the case for our data analytics or data science course. A lot of things are now moving towards an LLM based approach, and if we don't train our students on how to build these language models, even at a small scale, they'll struggle in the industry. So one of the major aspects that we make sure that is maybe 60-70% of the curriculum might not be relevant for cracking the interviews, but it helps them when they go to the job. And the first few months, I mean, they should not struggle in doing the basic necessities of it. So there again, we work with all the industry tech leaders, industry mentors and all who give feedback to it, like what they're looking to when they hire candidates. And then that's how we design, keep on iterating the curriculum in all aspects.
Okay, so since you said that you teach people a lot of things that might help them when they join their first job, so just out of curiosity, so how do you do it? Like, how does the tech go? Because you manage the tech side of Masai as well. So how have you guys reacted to AI coming in? How have your developers integrated AI into your this entire curriculum thing? Can you just give maybe some feature examples that you have that AI has been integrated into?
Yeah. Many of the times when you're doing the courses or learning something, you don't put a lot of effort into being a polished developer. That means you write bad code, or you might not write the test cases for it. But if you look at the industry, all these standards are followed. Now, using AI, we can teach all the developers how to write unit test cases, and also how to write good documentation. That creates a major part of the day-to-day job. And also, in terms of using in other libraries or shifting to another language, previously it might be difficult. It might take a couple of weeks to pick up with them. So, as a strategy, we incorporated this into the curriculum that within 2 days you have to pick up some new library, framework, or a language from your existing concepts. And here also, I mean, using ChatGPT, they are able to find out analogies and kind of learn all the new things. The other aspects where we use a lot of tech is basically in terms of evaluating all the students' submissions. Let's say they are writing HTML code. How do you ensure that that is pixel perfect? So we just run it in a browser, take a snapshot and compare with the actual design. So it tells us how close he is able to make given the design. So also in terms of the React also, most of the assignments are, we have the test cases for them. So it checks when he's following all, I mean, he's breaking down into components, the number of components he's breaking down to, the routing schema, the naming conventions, all the things are automatically judged. So it helps us scale and give feedback to a lot of students immediately.
Got it. Now, since you're talking about scale, so one thing that everyone wants when they get into like these courses is mock interviews, because when I'm learning, okay, I'll learn something, but everyone has this, fear for appearing for an interview. How do you solve this problem of making sure that people get enough of mock interviews? Because it's not scalable if you do it with persons, because you don't find a lot of persons. There has to be a lot of cash burn, which obviously you have to think of when you're running an ed tech. How do you do it? How do you solve it using tech?
Got it. So right now, I'll be saying that we have both human intelligence backed by artificial intelligence there. I mean, we have human mock interviewers as well who take interviews. This happens throughout the course, and particularly when the students are in the last leg of the course, that is during the last 5 weeks, they go through a lot of mock interviews, like on the different persona of companies, Google, Microsoft. But these are all backed by and validated by AI as well, because there can be some human bias, right? So, and other than that, there is also one more very important thing is your soft skill, the ability to communicate. That we have completely moved to AI backed virtual interviewer. So what it does is you can take a virtual interview of a cultural fitment round, and it will ask you, probe you deeper as to why do you want to join this organization. And this virtual interview is completely fed with all the data. And I've also tried it, and I also tried saying that, what if I wish for a 1.2 crore salary? And it checked that, as a fresher, you are expecting more. So it also, molds you down to what you should be expecting. So yeah, I think we have both right now here, but AI mainly is 100% being used for the soft skill preparation, which something our students need a lot, that am I communicating it well enough? Did I answer this correctly? So yeah, I think both there.
Yes, coming to you, Nupur, do you have plans of integrating AI and creating something which takes maybe some mock interviews? Let's say put up a question, see what he codes up, and then give him a feedback that, okay, this is wrong here, maybe you can improve. So do you have plans?
Yeah, we have a support bot which does that in our online judge. It helps us when you are facing issues. And there is also an aspect of it which takes the interviews. But we are not 100% shifting towards it, because maybe in some cases it might not be absolutely correct, and giving wrong feedback to the student is much more dangerous. So in terms of the tech, what happens is, let's say the project explanation, right? So when the students are explaining some projects, again, that bot is there trying to judge whether he's covering all aspects of the project, whether he's using the technical terminologies or not. Also, in terms of when you are asked a very theoretical question, like how does CSS work in a browser, all these aspects where there is a lot of theory and only 1 or 2 layers of follow-up questions, AI is able to do it. But in terms of judging very deep technical knowledge and asking cross-questioning and all, that we're still in the experimental phase. Maybe in the next couple of months, we'll be able to deeply integrate it and kind of remove the mental aspect of it in it.
Got it. So, Aman, coming to you, since you manage the curriculum and everything, I have seen DSA being the hot topic in the industry. And so, what's your opinion about the role of DSA in someone's learning journey? Is it actually required?
Okay, so this is a much debatable, topic, as you also mentioned. I think DSA to software development is like maths to anyone picking up science. I mean, if there is no one can mention that 100 years down the line you won't be taught addition because AI came up or anything came up, right? Maths will be taught, because maths fundamentally, maybe not consciously but subconsciously, builds your problem solving. We believe at Masai the same goes for data structures and algorithms when it comes to programming in general. I mean, the idea of converting your thought process into working bug-free code in a efficient manner is fundamentally how we see DSA is, right? And this is something, irrespective of you are a React developer or a mobile developer, you will need it, right? Because you have to write code that works in least space, least time. So efficiency, and I would say that hence, similar to maths, 50 years, 100 years down the line as well, if you are picking up software development, you will be learning data structure algorithms, because it was 50 years back as well, right? The extras and all worked way back, but yeah, we still learn it. So it's fundamental, and it will be.
I have the same opinion. Like, you just can't learn the thing that's required, because and fundamentally, when you're facing a new problem, you'll then face challenges. So it's very important to be very fundamentally strong. So how do you guys teach data structures algorithms? Because there's a lot of courses there on YouTube which is free. So what do you guys do different when it comes to DSA in terms of curriculum?
Got it. So there are multiple things that we do differently, and I will put some examples of how we leverage tech there, and some examples of how we have created things differently in our curriculum and pedagogy to make them understand. First thing I will talk about is curriculum pedagogy. What have we done differently? One thing would be every class, every lecture is defined till the level of what analogy to build, what joke to put here, and that reference will be used in the next lecture to give them that example. Where in real life can you see this happening when you use some application? And that combined with, I think the major important thing that we have done differently is DSA is application based learning, right? So what we do is, let's say we give a student a question, we taught the basics of binary search, and let's say we give the student pen test partition problem. Let them struggle. We know that out of 100, 1 or 2 will be able to pull up. These are, these who naturally understand algorithms. But those 98 who didn't do it, what we do is we let them struggle, and right now we haven't introduced any concept yet. Then we tell them the solution. Okay, this is how you could have thought, and that solution also, first we give a hint. क्या आप अभी कर सकते हो? नहीं, अभी भी नहीं कर पा रहे. कुछ लोग तब कर लेंगे. They have a better understanding. And then after hints, we give them that, okay, this is the descriptive solution. And then we say, by the way, this idea of binary search is how you can abstract binary search whenever there is a monotonic function, right? So we don't directly teach a concept. And same goes for dynamic programming. Most of the algorithms we teach in a similar manner. We give students some question, let them struggle, and once they have a void in the mind, कि यार ये मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा, then we tell the solution in a gradual manner, और फिर बताते हैं, अच्छा इसी को dynamic programming भी कहते हैं, right? So removing the fear of the buzzwords कि अच्छा यही है वो dynamic programming, तो naturally सीख जाते हैं. So, and third point that I would say, Raj, is the ladder of questions. It is very important, and that's where tech comes into picture. Like let's say किसी बच्चे ने इस level से इस level पे directly jump कर लिया, and the next guy, if we give the same level of question, he or she is struggling, right? So we plug in a question at this level. Jump search आप सोच सकते हो in terms of real life, and we give it this question. आप ये कर पा रहे हो, अच्छा, which requires somewhat of this question, but not directly jumping to this question. यहाँ पे आप कर पा रहे हो, okay, अब आप ये try करो. Most likely then they do it. ये भी नहीं कर पा रहे हो, थोड़ा और नीचे, So just what we call as ladder of question. तो वो हमारा ladder. There's a good number of questions that we have in our bank, close to 8,000 questions in our bank, which goes in a ladder-like manner, जो कि AI define करते हैं कि अच्छा इसके बाद आप यहाँ पे struggle मार रहे हो, ये एक बार try करके देखो. So it's our subtle way of, doing what we do it in gym. वो last rep में जो आप थोड़ा support करते हो, it's our subtle way of doing the same thing. So I think these 3-4 things, and ये last वाले में tech has enabled us beautifully. So this is how we teach DSA at Masai.
So since you're talking about tech, a lot of curriculum, right? A lot of my audience are those who already know a lot of things, like be it DS Algo, be it Dev, they're already prepared. Now what they're lacking is opportunities. So you guys at Masai, do you offer something which is for people like they don't want to learn, they think they're already prepared, let's assume. They think that we just need that opportunity, just that interview where we can go and showcase हमें भी बात है, hire us. Do you have something for them?
Yes, so we have one platform by the name levelup.inc. How it works is, let's say you are in tier 3 college, just for sake of our example, you have learned algorithms, you know dev, but you're not getting the right opportunity. Once you come to this platform, you give an assessment, which is with an industry mentor. It can be taken anytime, right? Validated by AI so that bias is removed. And at the end of that interview, you have a very objective benchmarking that you are 70% good in debugging skill. You are this person good is in your ability to convert code. You're this person good in algorithms, problem solving. एक बहुत descriptive scorecard आता है. And now at the same time, we have 5,000 plus hiring partners. And उनकी भी हमारे पास similar requirement है. Like we know for a fact when a Dream 11 hires, what is that they look for? Do they value debugging skill more or algorithms more? If a Misho comes, what do they look for, right? And because we have a lot of students who have gone through these all interviews, तो हमने उनकी benchmarking कर रखी है. And now you as a student come give your assessment, आपका scorecard हो गया. We have company's requirement, and that's where we do matchmaking. So for that you need not go through the entire course of Masai. You just need to what we call as get your competency mapping done. हमें बताइए कि आप कहाँ पे कितने अच्छे हैं and company कहाँ पे कितनी requirement करती, and then we do the matchmaking. So this is a beautiful product that all of your followers, students, whoever want to who feel कि मैं capable हूँ but मौका नहीं मिल रहा, please do try this out.
Link is in the description. So coming to Nupul, so as I was thinking about the tech stuff. So I've been using LeetCode for a while now, and whenever I hit that submit button, right, it's like super fast. It just runs probably 500,000 test cases at the back end, and it tells me if it's a correct answer, it's a wrong answer, or a time limit exceeded. So I'm assuming you guys also have a similar code judge, and since you teach DS algo, React, a lot of other things, so can you just give a bit insight of how this tech is built specifically for students who are learning, so that they also have an idea about tech?
Yeah. So, I mean, we run contests every week, which thousands of students participate, even some of the alumni participate. So, we build a code judge by customizing some of the open source stuff available over there. So, in that, we need very specific features when you are learning phase. So, one of the things which we have done is we build something called litmus test. So, what we saw is whenever students are given a problem, they directly jump into coding part of it. But many of the times they didn't clearly understood the problem itself. So what this litmus test does is, so it shows up some sample test case and asks you what is the answer of it or what is the output of it. If you are able to answer it correctly, then only you are able to proceed to the actual coding question. And when you submit the coding questions also, there are multiple things which we do in the background, like either we are submitting, you're testing the code, that is a single submit test case, or you're submitting the code for running across all the test cases. So each of them goes to separate queues, because when you're just submitting for one test case, you want quicker response and you want immediate things. And for the bigger final submission, we kind of have multiple servers spawning, and each one catering to different languages and all the things. And some of the times, if the test cases are huge, the cases are also distributed across the server, so that a single person is not blocked on a single server. Many of the times, especially when you are dealing with young programmers, we encounter a lot of submits, and also we encounter a lot of infinite loops. They're writing infinite loops. So these are the cases which we have to handle smartly. So we limit the number of processes or the number of background tasks that each user can run. And all these submission code judging sandboxes are shielded from the actual application server, because you don't want anybody running some wrong kind of code. And it's also funny that we see during at a specific times, like when the contest starts, it's okay, we have, let's say, 10 servers, but by the time the contest ends, even though we put auto scaling, but we anticipate a lot of people submitting at the last moment. So we automatically scale those amount of instances to cater to those needs. Also, one of the things that we see is each programming language needs different kinds of memory allocation and memory time allocation. So these things are all handled. After the whole contest is done, we analyze the plagiarism checks of the students, where we capture even the video feed of the students and the voice. So that also requires a lot of computation power. So these are all the things.
How do you check this plagiarism thing? Because I think people would be interested to know, because they also appear for a lot of interviews.
Okay.
And so how do you make sure that the person is not looking left, not looking right, or maybe opening a tab, getting a solution from WhatsApp, or probably seeing his phone? How do you manage all of these things?
So some of the basic events like tab openings and all are captured in terms of our event stream, and they're processed. For the videos and all, what we do is we know how our code judge looks like, and what is the layout of it. Anything extra that comes in because it also captures the screen apart from the video. Okay. So anything that is extra coming in the screen, that is recognized and that is flagged. And the same is the case in terms of the human, right? So because it's a DSA problem, we know he takes time in looking down, that's fine. But there's a separate face coming, but there's an extra voice coming in. All these things are flagged, and we take a lot of actions on this. So it also goes through one round of manual check, so that there's no wrong action taken against the student.
That's nice. So it's nice to know about a lot of things. I have this last question before we can wrap it up. So AI, right? Everyone's talking about AI, and yeah, like companies have been building over AI for the last decade or so, and it has come to picture in the last 1 year. And I'm very sure they would be building now a lot of other things which would come to picture in the next year or so. So with so much of AI coming in, a lot of young programmers who are just jumping in, or maybe they're starting, they have this question: will software engineering exist? Will the jobs go down? How much impact will it have? So you guys have tied up with so many companies, so you must be definitely talking to them on a monthly basis, daily basis, weekly basis. So what are their on a company's front, what are they talking to you? What are they saying? Have they reduced the number of hiring, or the interest has gone down?
Interesting. So this is one of the most asked question, be it our students, be it the students who join our webinars. This is one of the most asked question कि सर फायदा भी है सीखने का, ये तो replace होने वाला है. So my first and our first stance in that is, and I'm quoting someone, I'm not sure whom, but AI may not replace you, but it will definitely replace someone who does not know AI, right? So how we see it is, definitely some kind of businesses, some kind of roles may go obsolete after the advent of AI, but at the same time it's going to value those who fundamentally understand problem solving. For them it's going to be a catalyst. So it depends on the kind of role you are currently in. If you fundamentally have a decent problem solving, and if you understand things principally, then there are lesser chances that AI is going to replace you. It is going to increase your productivity multiple folds, right? But at the same time, if you're doing something which is manually, if you're manual, which is or doing something which AI can easily do, writing, putting a database and writing simple SQL queries to gain some insights, AI can easily do once you put this database to it. So there are two parts to how I feel about it. It's going to replace those who don't understand AI. And second, if you don't understand problem solving, please pick that up, because then it's going to be with you as a friend. Otherwise, it's going to be replacing you for sure. I mean, in the longer run.
Rebel, what's your thought on the hiring? Because you manage the tech team. So have you trimmed down on the number of developers you have because of AI? Or have you stopped hiring? How do you see it?
We haven't trimmed down, but the existing developers, with the help of AI, are able to churn out more products and more code. But the fundamental role of a developer is going to change. Let's say you not need a very specific person to give you a detailed documentation. It will help you. You not need a separate person to write the unit test cases for you. And suddenly I see in my code base the number of, or the coverage of unit test cases has increased drastically. And you not need a very specific data analyst in each pod. Maybe for building bigger pipelines you might need, because all the basic queries can be extracted from, if you feed in the schema, I mean, the AI can give you the queries itself, and the basic dashboards can be built. So all these product roles are going to kind of merge into a single developer role, where he can take up most of the tasks. And given the Copilot, which we use extensively, it kinds of also ensures that the code written is uniform, very well documented, and kind of you don't need multiple refactoring, and the tech debt, which is very much talked about in the tech industry, I hope it reduces a lot.
Got it. So in case you are having this question, I'll say, don't think what's gonna happen. What's in your hand, control that. That is preparing, upskilling, because what will happen will not happen to you, will happen to each of us, even me. So don't think about it much. Whatever is in your hands, just keep preparing. That's what you can do. So before we wrap it up, there's a lot of folks who are preparing for interviews, because that's the only reason they watch me. After that, they don't watch me once they are placed at a good company. So what's your one tip from you before we wrap it up? One tip that you would like to give to everyone who's starting off or preparing?
Got it. First, I would disagree with you, Raj.
Okay.
People do watch you even after, I have seen people going through your algorithms video, working, they're not looking for a plan.
They're looking for a switch. They wouldn't have said you.
maybe that I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're watching that algorithm video because they like how you tease you, the jokes that you put. So yeah, I have seen that. My one take would be that, don't really bother about AI and all this right now. Work on building your fundamentals, work on improving your problem solving skill, because that's what software development is always going to value, even 10 years down the line as well. And if you are someone who has gained confidence over your skill, try our level up platform. If you are someone who wants to enter programming and have looking for where to get started, you can take our Masai School admission test and be a part of Masai School and go through the upskilling program. You don't have to pay anything upfront, and you can pay only once you get placed above certain CTC. So, depending on the audience, this would be my suggestion.
Okay, one tip from you specifically in terms of tech, because you are managing the tech.
So mostly, if I see when many of the non-coders, right, that means people coming from non-traditional coding background, they struggle a lot to level up in their career because many of them don't understand the system design or patterns of it, and putting a lot of emphasis in learning those things or finding a mentor who can do this will help them a lot in terms of getting there. So that's where people struggle.
Yeah, got it. Cool, guys. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you guys for coming in. It's wonderful talking to you, and specifically knowing that tech is not just about teaching. You guys use a lot of tech, and I'll be looking forward to use some when I build something in the future. I got a lot to learn. I hope you guys learned as well. So I'll be wrapping up this one in case you want to check out Masai and the level up, because I'm assuming that would be something that you would be interested in. The link will be in the description, and if you haven't checked out our other channel, Take You Forward, make sure you check it out. With this, we'll be wrapping up, and we'll meet in some other video. Till then, bye bye, take care.